Sit back and throw one back with your pinky in the air and a middle finger to the world. And join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, and the rest of the Gentleman Bastard Brigade as we look back on this day in pro wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get our wrestling nerd on. It is February 22nd, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1963, WCW enhancement talent, Max Muscle. 1967, Psychosis. 1971, Super Calo. 1973, Luchador, Mr. Nebula. 1975, long-term indie journeyman, Andy Anderson. And 1979, Japanese star, Kazushi Miyamoto. And we're going to keep the positivity rolling because we don't have any deaths for this date in pro wrestling history. Alright, without further ado, it's time to get to the meat and potatoes. That's right, your pro wrestling history highlights for February 22nd. 1937, Bill Collins defeats Ben Jordan for the Georgia Southern Light Heavyweight title in Atlanta, Georgia. 1943, Bobby Mangoff earns a disputed win over National Wrestling Association World Heavyweight Champion Billy Longson in Texas to become a recognized champion by promoter Tony Stetcher in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 1949, Shay Lawrence wins the Jack Pfeffer promoted World Heavyweight title from the Demon Jack O'Brien in San Diego, California. 1952, Ron Etcherson and Sandor Sabot defeat Ben and Mike Sharp to win the San Francisco NWA World Tag Team titles in Oakland, California. 1957, Pepper Gomez defeats El Medico for the NWA Texas Heavyweight title in Houston, Texas. 1965, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation runs an event at Madison Square Garden. In the main event, Cowboy Bill Watts defeats heavyweight champion Bruno Sammartino by disqualification. And people say Cowboy had a temper. 1971, Fritz Von Erich defeats Turo Tanaka in Fort Worth, Texas to win his 9th NWA American Heavyweight title. 1976, Tommy Rich defeats Jerry Lawler in a no disqualification match in Memphis, Tennessee to win the Mid-American NWA Southern Heavyweight title, ending Lawler's 6th of 7,965 title reigns. 1977, Mil Mascaras defeats Alfonso Dantes in a hair versus mask match. 1978, Gypsy Joe and Buzz Taylor become NWA Mid-American Tag Team Champions when Dutch Mantell gives up his half of the title, which he held with Gypsy Joe. If you do not know the legend of Gypsy Joe, please look him up. He's one of the nicest guys you will ever meet and a true legend. 1979, Bobby Sweeten defeats Randy Alice, aka Randy Rose, to win the NWA Central States Heavyweight title. 1981, Ivan Koloff and Ray Stevens defeat Paul Jones and the Masked Superstar for the NWA World Tag Team titles in Greensboro, North Carolina. 1983, Dirty Dick Slater defeats Mike Rotundo to win the NWA television title. 1984, Jumbo Tarutsa defeats Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA World Heavyweight title in Tokyo, Japan. 1987, Abdul the Butcher defeats Hercules Aliyah for the International Wrestling International Heavyweight title in Montreal, Quebec. He was the last champion before the company closed later that year. 1988, the Midnight Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, defeat the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton, in Memphis, Tennessee, to win the AWA World Tag Team titles. 1993, the Moondogs, Splat and Spot, defeat the Harris Brothers, Don and Ron, for the USWA Tag Team titles. 1994, Javier Lanes defeats El Dandy in Mexico City, Mexico, for the CMLL World Middleweight title. 1997, a show that I was privileged to be at, the East Coast Wrestling Association held its very first Super 8 tournament in Wilmington, Delaware. In the final, Ace Darling defeated Cheetah Master. And I'm telling you, what a match that was. 1998, WCW held its 8th annual Super Brawl pay-per-view. In the main event, Sting pinned Hollywood Hulk Hogan after Randy Savage hit Hogan with a can of spray paint to win the WCW World Heavyweight title. Those were your pro wrestling history highlights for February 22nd. I'm the Eclectic Gentleman, Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.